flash. Aurora net flash. Corki tip. Aurora net flash. Net flash.
Nice guys, good job. Take. I'm okay. We're looking Zyra. Okay.
Aurora behind guys, Aurora behind.
We're close Rell. Take it. Yeah. Beyond flash guys.
Let's fight. Keep going.
Look, Kaiser. It's good. Go fight.
Keep going, it's good.
ITP behind, guys. ITP behind.
Talia, no flash, guys. Chase.
I missed.
Jax. I died. Jax smoke.
Wait, coming.
Yeah.
Just keep fighting.
Ezreal here guys, Ezreal. Close here.
Ezreal.
Nice. Can we have mid? We can have mid, huh?
We can. Yeah, we can have guys. Yeah, we can.
Ezreal here, joined by Kobe for the second series, and we saw FlyQuest come out to a lot of boos.
Look. Keep flash.
Nice.
Take it slow.
I'm going.
Go out the
Okay, he's going.
I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'll kill him.
Just go.
We need to go objectives. Let's go. He's, I think, fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry about me.
just
This
go
guy, I want this guy too. Can you guys come and help me soon or no? Because I can buy time.
Hit the tower.
Hit the turret first. Oh, whoa. He's a monster.
Hide everything.
There is still a wave, and we need to finish out the tower.
Fight.
Go. 5 seconds.
Fight cannot flash, okay?
Look here.
Okay,
Take a look back.
That's your flash.
Everyone is sleeping.
Yeah, going on the link.
Ashno flash.
I have you, okay? I have you for you, Corki.
Dark no flash.
Yeah, now we're back here.
Guys, they can be here.
Yes, so team.
Fight.
Dash is going to be out of position.
Run for free. It's fine. I get Arun, but it doesn't matter.
You can ult here.
I'm zoning the Azir. Azir absolutely. Nice.
GG.
Welcome back to the LTA. Day 2 of the Americas tournament is going to be underway in 30 minutes. It was pretty good for the North.
Pretty good? I'd say so, yeah. Pretty good. Okay, but we expected day 1 to go well. Day 2 is where things might get dicey, and the mustache is still on the line. So if both North teams make it through, I have to shave this. If one South team makes it through, you got to grow one, Raz.
Which will not happen.
It's going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I have a question for you,
Yes.
Kangas. You're betting. You bet.
Yes.
You already did that a South team was going to beat a North team.
Absolutely.
Yesterday, you predicted 2-0 and 2-0 for both North teams. Today's
the day, Jat. Let me tell you.
Which one have you predicted?
Istral.
Oh, did you?
A lot of people talk about it. Istral taking on Team Liquid. I think it's no surprise. We'll talk about it more later in the day as well. But that's the one that a lot of people are worried about, and I actually think is the shot. And I got to say, you're welcome, the North, because this mustache has uncursed us. Everybody else says 4-0 for all the North teams. I'm the only one holding the line.
He's hedging
so I'm
his
breaking
bets.
the curse. I'm breaking the curse.
He's a turncoat trying to act as if he's not a turncoat.
He is. Either way, I just wanted to see that if he actually has a team today.
Yeah.
But we have some more
really
highlights from
funny,
yesterday. Quid really popped off yesterday.
Yeah.
He's going to handshake harder than you, Raz. He
That's
trains
true.
his
I don't think the camera saw that, thankfully, so we're good.
Yeah,
Quid yesterday.
was insane. A lot of his plays, like as you can already see, the Yone play that they had. Now, to be fair, 100 Thieves did not have a great series. It was still a 2-0, but they went over the hurdle because of Quid's performance alongside River. So as you can see, player of that series, absolutely. A lot of his team fighting things that we've kind of paraded for him during the first leg of the tournament continue to exist in the second leg.
Also, remember yesterday when they were calling Cody La Farsa, the Latino faker?
Yeah.
Well, we have the unbearable Demon King.
Which is also a
Because he played Volleyball. Look at him. That was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
That's like a bodybuilding pose he just gave. That was incredible.
This is him zoning off 4 people between
Nothing casual about it, Emily.
Yeah, the tier 2 and tier 3. We talked about how we'd seen this in scrims, right? And we'd seen both sides of it, where he's on something like a Volibear, like an Udyr, like a Swain, and he just feels like he can go in, right? And here he is, taking care of business, zoning off 4 people in between tier 2, tier 3. Nothing casual about it.
But you're right that this is his style at this point. Like, we can just expect Bwipo is going to buy space for the rest of the team to pop off, and he did that in this series. We expect that again going into next weekend, but not the teams we're going to see today.
Yeah, here's the bracket. So yesterday we saw FlyQuest and 100 Thieves advance to the semifinals. They're going to be playing each other on February 22nd. Today we have these 4 teams playing to see who advances and then plays each other as well. So nice synergy in the bracket so far.
Yeah, and so far, at least kind of extending the conversation about Bwipo, he's just like the entire power fantasy of a top laner. He has been living it for the past 2 weeks. Like the Swain, the unkillable Swain, the unkillable Volibear,
I see where you're going with that when you're talking about power fantasies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that, the context is very important for him. He is living it, and it's been amazing for him. But now we're going on to Team Liquid and Cloud9 in their respective matches. I'm excited to see how they perform because I'm really, I would say, pleasantly surprised with Cloud9. With Team Liquid, we need to see the shape up, but the last time we saw them was good from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some cross-conference stats that we're going to be taking a look at as well. The leaderboards across the North and the South. Now, the North played the North, the South played the South, but I still feel like these are relatively interesting to see with the kill leaders there being Chitan up at the top.
Yeah, the super interesting thing to me about this, we're going to talk about Root later because I think he's had like absolutely stellar performance for Loud thus far this split. But we talked about how these are the 2 bloodiest teams in the LTA North, right? And 100 Thieves, actually, they might have dipped below yesterday. I'd have to check the LGD stats as well from the TES series. Because they were hovering just under like 1 combined kill per minute from yesterday. But we still have Titan right at the top, and I think their series with 100 Thieves really showcased why.
And you can just see the trend of it being AD carries and how important it is to be able to have a strong AD, and all of these teams had that. So yes, FBI being on the bloodiest team, he has a bunch of like, I don't know what to say, bloodthirsty animals on his team. So I was like, it's not only going to go to him. Chitan, who we said farewell to yesterday, we got to see both sides of, because Ezreal correctly mentioned the fact that he's like highest kills, highest deaths. He was exciting to watch.
You'll love this, Raz. 100 Thieves is still #1 apparently in the world. LGD is still #2, so they retain their title.
Let's keep rolling through some of these stats. Up next, we have kill participation percentage. These are leaderboards across the North and the South.
Okay, some support representation up there.
Yeah,
Shout out Vulcan.
We mentioned Cody yesterday and how instrumental he was to a lot of his team's wins. I think the big thing for me with Vulcan is a lot of people were like really hesitant as to what his performance would be. They weren't necessarily happy with it from last year. But I think this split, especially on like Vulcan staples like the Alistar, he's been performing really, really well in Cloud9's team fights.
Exactly, and I think it starts to change the perspective of like greater some of their parts. They weren't. They were a lot of amazing individuals, but when it came together, it wasn't working. Whereas this split, we've seen them outperform FlyQuest in team fighting and generally do well around Dragon and major objective setups. So this looks like a much more rounded team, and Vulcan has been benefiting from it.
And speaking of rounded team, we saw even in like week 1, Cloud9 be very willing to go a slow pace game. I think sometimes kill participation can be a little misleading because it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, there's a lot of kills happening and you're there for all of them. Sometimes it can mean there were barely any kills in that game and you were there for pretty much all of them. And Vulcan is there for both of those versions of Cloud9, which is cool to see that Cloud9 can do both of those styles so far this split.
Yeah, taking a look at early game as well. Let's look at gold difference at 14 leaderboard. Up at top is Castle, but he's eliminated. We don't need to talk about him. I do find it interesting. One thing that I've seen.
Changed my tune.
One thing that I've seen with Team Liquid is that their early games have still been very good, even though they fell to the #4 seed. And Impact is still getting far ahead in a lot of his games.
And a lot of this is from the way that TL play lane swaps, right? Like we'll talk about win conditions for them later, but Impact in lane swaps, especially on stuff like the Cassante, has been absolutely lights out. He does so many small things to get incremental advantages in those situations for himself too. And a lot of times when they swap back, he's just significantly ahead of his technical lane opponent, even if he's not going up against them directly.
And it's always crazy, we say this every time, of how much he just loves the game. Anytime like you talk to him or like we get a chance to hear his thoughts, like he's super self-critical. He's always still going for solo kills if he's like in a 1v1 matchup and not in a lane swap. Like if he sees the angle, he's gonna go for it. I remember the Team Liquid versus FlyQuest, and he saw an angle, he was landing every Cassante Q, and I was like, oh my god, he's completely dumpstering the matchup, and he almost got the kill. He like flashed for it too. So it's like, he is still a player that he is very good in lane, he is great in team fights, and it's fun to see him showing that in this day and age.
Year 13.
Yeah.
Year 13 for Impact. Okay, last leaderboard we have today is going to be damage per minute. Ooh. FBI and Quid still being way up there.
What is going on here?
Yeah. FBI is just good.
He's been popping off. This was before this weekend's games as well, so we'd have to update it maybe next week.
It's only going to go higher.
Back. We'll have
Make
to see.
space here, Morpheus. All right.
All right, we're going to see AP8 today as well. See if Team Liquid can defend the North as the 4 seed against the number 1 seed from the South. But we're going to look at the schedule now to see what order these games are being played in. We have C9 versus Loud at 11 a.m. PST, which is in about 20 minutes. And then Ezreal against Team Liquid is going to be that second matchup of the day.
What matchup are you interested in, Candice?
Well, obviously the second one is the one that you were asking, which one do I think the South actually has a higher chance of winning? I'm definitely looking at Ezreal down there, but the Loud versus C9 from a fan perspective is also going to be awesome. Speaking of,
we got a barbecue and a show.
There's a band live there. They have a drum.
Oh,
They brought a drum to the arena.
Oh, no.
Wait,
Can they get that in the door? Are they going to have a drum in the actual audience?
I didn't think it would be this true to the namesake. They're going to be loud.
They're going to be They have smoke.
They have smoke.
They have smoke and a drum. They got a whole band.
Okay. Oh, God.
Okay, insane fan show out from the Loud fans. We also have Takeshi joining us, former CBLOL great. Once again, Takeshi. Talk to us a little bit about these.
Takeshi,
first off, how are you?
Yeah.
But talk to us about the Loud fans.
Well, Loud fans, they are just awesome. Thank you for having me once again in your streaming. And guys, basically, the Loud fans, they always support. It doesn't matter which game they are playing on Valorant or League of Legends. They are always here cheering for Loud no matter what. Okay, we have some barbecue outside, but it's for the next series, okay? It's for Ezreal against Team Liquid. It's not for Loud, but you know, we in Brazil love some barbecue, we love some parties, so yeah, that's everyone is enjoying so far.
Talk about the atmosphere, because you're super used to it. Not us. So when we, yesterday, just hearing how loud the fans were and how excited they are, this has been your life for obviously decades now.
Yeah, basically for the Brazilian crowd, the Brazilian community, it's an event that no one could watch here before in São Paulo. Yes, we had the MSI in Rio back in 2017, but the fans were on the front door of the hotel to look for the players going to the stage, going to the venue. So for us in here, it's an experience that the fans in here love leagues and they love Whipple. Whipple is half Brazilian, as we'd say, and everyone here yesterday was cheering for them. And also for today, I think Loud is one of the biggest teams that we have, and I think the crowd here today is going to be a great show.
We saw in the footage there was a drum outside. Is that making it into the arena? Are they going to bring that in?
No, not in the arena. Not in the arena. Just outside, okay? You cannot put it inside.
It'd be cool if it was
That'd be awesome,
loud. Yesterday, you kind of identified Ezreal as the best chance for the South to get a win against the North. Just talk to us about this kind of team that everyone's calling the Latin American super team.
Yeah, that's basically the best shot that we have to South win, and also to Rez have the mustache. So we are cheering double for that. Okay, but for today, I think TL, in my opinion, I think they are struggling a little bit on lane swaps, and also the UNC champion pool. I think right now we have a shot on the José Deodo. You guys know him from before in the LCS back in 2022, I think, if I'm not wrong. So basically, I think Ezreal, they can manage the map really well. I think the solo laners are probably the best that they have. They have Burdo, which was a year ago playing on the LPL. But I think that if we can avoid Ion and Core JJ on the laning phase, that would be the really most important part, in my opinion. I think Snacker and Ackerman, yeah, they're not good on laning. So I think for today, I think José Deodo and solo laners are the key for Ezreal to win.
Nice.
What surprised you about this team? Because was this the expectation coming into the LTA for Ezreal?
Well, I think like the thing that surprised everyone the most in here was like how behind they are in some games, but they still manage to get a way to get out of it, you know? And somehow in Brazil, we don't have the macro as a strength, you know? It's not our best weapon, I would say. And Ezreal managed to come with a good macro. And even when they lose the early game, I think on the bot side, they have this problem that I said before. And now the Ezreal, they can manage to play the map really well. So I think the problems that we have on the Pain Gaming series yesterday, I think Ezreal, they'll probably be better in this kind of situation, you know? They can manage the map better, they can play team fights better around like objectives. They are really well disciplined. They have this on them, and I think like the Brazilian teams, they were not into it still.
Yeah, I think on our side, we have Core JJ and Yon have been the highlight from Team Liquid for us.
Yeah, for sure.
On the other side, I had them on our podcast pros last week, and they, right after, like before the show, after the show, they were reviewing some of these team fights that didn't go well for them, but they are still so locked in trying to succeed. So I feel like for me, if Team Liquid is to succeed, it's going to be on the back of them. I know you mentioned a little bit about Snaker and Ackerman. What do they have to do to kind of not give up the game against Core and Yon, do you think?
Well, the first thing that's obvious, in my opinion, is like try to swap. I know that CL were good at swapping in the past year, but in this year, I don't think like the swap is still the same way that you have to approach it. So for today, I think like lane swapping for Snaker and Ackerman, it's really good. And I hope that we don't go to Bard. If like Ackerman goes to Bard, I don't enjoy it, okay? I don't think like the Bard on the LTA South is a good thing. So two things, in my opinion, that's it. Going to swap, trying to bot lane, and don't try to pick like Bard, some like micro champions that have to play really well to be paid, you know? So for today, I think Ezreal has to be more like standard. Go to like Rell, Nautilus, something like that is way easier.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, if you don't want them to go to the Bard, what do you want to see, not only out of this bot lane, but some prio picks for Ezreal?
Well, some prio picks, I think, for the jungle, José Deodo can manage really well, like playing as a carry. If he needs to play like a Wukong, a Bruiser on the jungle, he's way better on it than Unsi, in my honest opinion. I think Unsi will go more for like the Maokai and Seju. And also, I think if Ackerman has a Poppy, something like that, he's really good into it. But don't try to play so much on like these champions that you have to pull up 100% of the champion. If not, then just drop it, you know? If you're not like 100% confident, just drop it, because I think Bard is like way a bad champion, just to be honest. That's it.
Takeshi, thank you so much once again for joining us. Hope to see you next week as well. Have fun today. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And Raz, I wait for your mustache.
Look, it will not go. It will not go. Come back to coming.
No, he's going. He's out.
Oh my God.
He knows it's going to happen.
Unbelievable.
The final link we got to talk about here is José Deodo.
Yeah.
Because he was in the LCS. He's
He's Captain America's.
And he's been an LLA player. He's actually the embodiment of the LTA.
Yeah.
That's true.
He's been in every league, every
Give
possible
this man a
LTA
shield.
league. Yeah.
That's what he needs.
Everywhere he goes, people love him. His infectious personality. He's got like a streamer vibe to him, the Tuki thing that people enjoy.
Yep.
So you're right. He embodies everything that people love, just not today.
For me, it's the eyes. For me, it's look at that. He's just looking into your soul right there. It's crazy.
For me, the big thing is I agree a lot with what Takeshi said regarding champ pool with him versus Umti, right? Because I definitely think that José Deodo, we saw it here, we've seen it when he's been on LLA orgs, and we've seen it this year on Ezreal in the LTA South, which is that I think his potential on carries is so high.
Yeah.
Whereas Umti has really struggled on some of these similar picks, especially bruisers like the Vi, like the Wukong.
Exactly, and even though it's not listed here, my favorite champion from him has been his Lee Sin.
Yeah.
Because he is like the truest form of a carry and playmaker. And that's what's really interesting about this matchup, is that I hear from everybody that talks about this matchup that they think this is the biggest changing point that an LTA South team can take a victory, and it would have to be off of José's playmaking. And when we saw him internationally when he was just under the Ezreal banner, it was him, Snaker, and Ackerman. They were playing bot side. They were hyper aggressive. They were finding plays on like the likes of T1, if I remember correctly. But it was that kind of infectious attitude that made them successful.
Yeah. On the side of Team Liquid, things that I'd be worried about, I'm worried about Umti.
Yeah.
I'm worried about him overforcing. But beyond that, I think Umti's deaths are a bit of a symptom of the team not being on the same page. So I'll show another example. This is from the FlyQuest series, actually, where I'll just start it off. We're 31 minutes into the game. Team Liquid already has Mountain Soul, and Umpty does get caught. So this is the Umpty mistake here, where he gets caught clearing vision while the team wasn't necessarily rotated, and they're able to chase him down. Whipple makes a nice play to kill him, and it looks like Team Liquid just has to retreat. So from here is where you get to see that the team isn't quite on the same page. After APA and Yon return a kill, I'm going to pause the clip about here because you need to see that it is, Impact's not here yet. It's these three, 80 carry at half health and a full health Azir. The other team has 2 full health carries in Quad and Masu. So generally speaking, if you're on the same page with the Mountain Soul, you just need to play this slow. Wait until 4 people are there, let Impact go in first, and play the fight out. But there's something off with the team where they feel pressured to make something happen. Look at what APA does here. He flies in on his own and targets the Vi. He's chasing kills when 2 full health carries are right next to him. This very clearly doesn't go well. APA ends up getting killed by the 2 full health carries. Then, as Yon tries to support, Inspired flies in after him with the Vi ultimate, and they end up losing the fight and lose control of the game. This is just one example. There were multiple fights here where Team Liquid was doing discordant things, which is not something we necessarily saw out of them to this extent last year.
And that's why a lot of folks, myself included, are worried about their matchup versus Ezreal, or Ezreal as we call them, because the mid-jungle combo is that strength. That's like the 2 of the best performing players on that roster. So it seems like a rough matchup for Team Liquid across the board. But it is interesting to hear Takeshi say that he didn't think Team Liquid's lane swaps were that good this year, and that he actually wants Ezreal to lane swap into them and get that counter matchup, because we were just talking about Impact and how good he is in those individually.
Yeah, and all that is very true. I think going back to the point about Team Liquid's faults, because I think that like that clip that you had illustrated illustrates it very well for what their problems have been for a while now.
Yeah.
Because this also reminds me of that Weibo series that they had back at Worlds, where it's like that moment of rushing it too quick. If they play that fight slowly, they can kill Xiaohu, and that fight would work out well. This is the Baron fight. Like, moments like those happen a lot, where they play too quickly in moments where they need to be patient. That might just be a long-term problem, but I enjoyed that.
By contrast, I think as we see here, C9 kind of getting ready for their match since they're first up, I've been really impressed with how well C9 have been able to coordinate their team fights, which was something we already touched upon was a problem last split, right? So in taking on Loud, even though this C9 roster has not been together that long, C9 is our historic kind of legacy org alongside TL, going up against Loud, I believe still the winningest org in previously CBLOL history. So this will be, as we see C9 through the years, like, this is a really interesting matchup organizationally, and I also think some of those weaknesses that we were just touching upon with TL, surprisingly, with this new C9 roster, they've looked really well coordinated in team fights.
Yeah, and going back to the first point that you had made, like, anytime I walk past an old fan or a new, yesterday, just after the show, I walked into an old fan that was just getting back into the game. Guess what team he was a fan of? Cloud9.
C9.
Exactly. Yep. Because, like, the organization having that kind of a legacy, like, years upon years of relevance and dominance, the same can be said, at least for recently, last, like, little bit with Loud.
Yeah.
Because Loud has been that successful team, having the 4P and everything. Everyone sees dominance, and honestly passion when it comes to Loud and their fans.
I mean, legacy from C9, Loud's been around for about 5 years now, but we saw right there, I mean, they're swapping jerseys too. I mean, there's a reason to be a fan of these teams outside of just a legacy as well.
Yeah, and even if it's a newer player, Thanatos has been, to me, one of the top performers on Cloud9. He's going to be going up against Robo, one of the greatest players of all time in the CBLOL, and if he is going to succeed, it's going to be through lane dominance. That's what Thanatos has been absolutely best at, is taking an individual matchup, oftentimes Renekton or Gnar, and just absolutely putting the other guy in the dirt, and then the team can play around those advantages. The thing that's been an improvement for Thanatos this year for me is the fact that he isn't having the same number of unnecessary deaths that he had last year.
Yeah, my big thing is how he's coming into team fights, right? Where he is coming in with this kind of lane advantage typically because he is such a strong laner. But the big difference for me is where he's coming in and when. He just looks so much more well coordinated with the team than he did last year.
Exactly. It's wild to see the progression that he's had so quickly. Now, the sample size obviously much less this split versus the last.
Yeah.
But just seeing the growth that he's had in team fights, and you're right, not falling in the mid game as much as he had in the past, because he had the critique on him about like, oh, he's just micromanaged, right, from the rest of his team. I'm not seeing that this split. So that's great from him. On the other side, Robo is a player that is just an actual rock for his team.
Right.
Where he's going to be there for team fights. He has his own unique picks. The Urgot is one that I remember. I know this is a Blippo clip, but at the moment I saw Blippo playing Urgot, I was like, I remember Robo playing Robo. The Renekton is another one. So I think it's going to be really fun to see what picks Robo's willing to play, what matchup's going to be. I think it's going to be heavily Thanatos dominant just because of how strong of a laner he is.
And as we see the the loud crowd,
That's a lot of green.
yeah, it's going to be a really hostile environment for C9, I think.
It's all green.
We talked about Robo being the legacy player on Loud, but I want to talk about Root because I think we saw him in the leaderboards. He has been absolutely phenomenal for this team. For me, he has been their standout player, kind of sometimes single-handedly changing team fights.
Yeah, just going to be a very interesting game, especially seeing the fan support there for Loud. But Kobe, he caught up with Vulcan and Winsome before today's games.
Hello, I'm here with the support matchup here with Vulcan and Winsome. Now, you guys know each other pretty well because you played obviously on Cloud9 and FlyQuest in NA, and you've played soccer against each other as well. First question is, who's better at soccer?
Well, me. We have different strengths, but I think overall I take the cake, yeah, easily.
Now, what about League of Legends, though? Because you did play on Cloud9 after Vulcan. Is there anything that you feel like you guys are going to be able to attack on this NA team?
I'll take.
Is there any weakness on Cloud9 that you think you can attack?
Well, I think Vulcan, soccer, I think I'm better.
Okay. First of all, he's better at soccer now that that is settled. For the support matchup, what about the bot lane?
I mean, Vulcan is really like solid player, but I think he's older than me, 1 year. So I'm very more have good mechanical, I think. Yeah.
How has your practice been going in Brazil? Scrims are making you feel better or worse heading into this match?
Better, but also want to touch upon his answer because you know how you asked him about League, and then the first thing he said was how he was actually better at soccer. He completely brushed off the League part. So I think that shows a lot about their mentality going to this match. Okay. But for your question, yeah, I think scrims we're doing great, and I think we're very confident today. So.
Okay, so confidence is high from Cloud9, but I know a certain record that may or may not be in your favor. Do you know what your all-time game record versus Vulcan is?
Well, I remember I never lose against him.
Yep, it's 3-0 right now for Winsome. So I want to ask you, what do you think your record versus him is going to be after this series?
Still same?
Still undefeated. What about you?
Well, I just remember that C9 benched Winsome for Isles in spring 2022, and then at 3-0 C9. So, I mean, that doesn't count, right? Because it wasn't head-to-head, but low-key, I'm going to take those matches. And as to the North versus South matchup, I have this over here.
So you're predicting you're going to win. North versus North greater than South. All right, thank you. We're going to send it back to you guys.
Vulcan brought the pre-printed shirt.
Yeah,
Jersey.
Well
Very soon we're going into games. We're going to roll up our predictions here. C9. I'm in the C9 camp.
I think we're all.
Yeah,
It's all 2-0s.
So far it is 4-0 for the North game score, 2-0 series score. If this holds true, it will be 6-0. A lot of disappointed Loud fans if that's the case.
Would be, and we saw a sea of green in there. That arena is going to go potentially nuclear, depending on what happens.
That's going to be a library. I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, by the end of it. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, we'll see if Thanatos can be big. Here's the show open.
Hello, LTA. Boa tarde, Brazil. Please welcome to the stage the 6-time LCS champions and number 2 seed of the LTA North, Cloud9!
And here they come, C9 ready to take the stage here. The first one of the Northern squads to play on our second day of competition here in this cross-conference battle, Kobe. Yesterday, the North reigned supreme. You know Cloud9 wants to keep that running today.
You can see smiles on all their faces. All the NA teams walk out to a lot of boos here. The crowd, you love the energy. Everybody's smiling. Definitely ready for this one. Vulcan, look at that. Vulcan's got the style on. Like, he was trash talking in their interview. He is loving the crowd energy, and he is ready to style in game as well.
C9, always one of NA's top meme teams. You know they're ready to bring it here in Brazil.
Super looking forward to this one. I mean, Loud has so much history. Even some of the players directly with Cloud9 themselves. You know, we interviewed Winsome right before this. He, of course, played for Cloud9 a bit in NA, as well as for FlyQuest.
LTA Sul. Vamos fazer muito barulho pra Loud!
And their opponents, the next Brazilian squad to take the stage, hoping to be the first ones to move on to the next phase of competition. One of the most storied orgs in Brazilian League of Legends, it's Loud.
Smiles coming out. Robo, one of the most famous players in the region overall. Going up against Thanatos, going to be a tough lane matchup for sure. Definitely a lot of people looking at that one. But Loud here, you mentioned it, you know, the Brazilian team still yet to pick up a win so far, any of the LATAM South teams. So looking at that for step number 1 so far here today.
Day number 1, really rough for our brothers from the South. That first series was a little bit close, back and forth and back and forth. The second one,
exciting.
Much more one-sided in that second one, though.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm curious, which one of those flavors are we going to get to kick off today? Is it going to be the back and forth battle, or are we going to get a more one-sided affair?
Well, these two teams have very different styles. Flowers, you know, my favorite stat for these two teams.
Tempestade encarnada, Loud Root!
Beautiful aim from Thanatos. And Yawn is going all the way.
Tiene que aparecer una espalda del tamaño de José de Oro.
I was out for a minute, I was down for a minute, yeah. Had my desk for a minute, now I'm back in the business, yeah.
Yo ya tengo la experiencia de haber jugado con ellos y sé exactamente lo que se puede ganar.
Watch me walk, you gon' think that I'm floating, I'm effortless.
My focus is always to be the best.
내가 사신이다. Good.
All right, let's get ready to rock and roll here for some C9 versus Loud. I'm excited to see how we're going to start this off from the draft, straight out of the gate. I want to see if we get anything spicy. Obviously, if we're going from day 1 results, the Southern teams are going to have to throw a couple of curveballs if they want to have an edge over their Northern counterparts.
Yeah, and I mean, Takeshi was, you know, also a little bit worried about this matchup. We'll have to see. I do think Robo plays a lot of different champions, so maybe they can throw some spice up there and try and switch up the matchup for top lane so that it actually doesn't go that bad. Maybe we also start out with some lane swaps so that the laning phase isn't such a big hurdle.
And hearing Takeshi talk about wanting to see Loud opt into a lane swap. Or no, that was against the team leg again. I'm getting all crossed up. At the start of the day. But I am always curious how the Brazilian teams will be able to handle a lane swap type of situation. We saw yesterday the Southern teams struggling more more in the macro elements of the game against the northern teams. Will Loud be able to sort of shake that sort of bad reputation and find a way to outmaneuver Cloud9 here?
All right, well, already Cloud9 targeting the Poppy, one of those counter picks that we see a lot to shut down some of the more aggressive champions. And Cloud9 coming into this series certainly have been the more aggressive team, ending games much, much quicker. So trying to take away some of those like defensive combo breaker champions.
Okay, so the Poppy banned away by C9, also the Azir and the Varus. Meanwhile, over on Loud, it's Yone, Jace, and Kalista banned out in that first set, and C9 will make it their business to lock in that evergreen power pick in the top lane with the Cassante.
Yeah, there you go. Poppy ban, Cassante first pick here for Thanatos. So at that top lane matchup that we have had our eyes on, this sets you up for success, whether it's a lane swap or whether it is standard lanes. So let's see what the response here from Loud is and what the current priority is looking like. A Skarner game possibly here for Wiz. Their tiebreaker versus Pain. Of course, they also used the Skarner. That was their Mel and Ezreal, poke game as well. So the Ezreal itself actually picked up again here too. So both the Skarner and the Ezreal coming back after their most recent game. We'll see if they also supplement with Mel, but insta-locks from Cloud9 Flowers.
Absolutely. The Zyra, as long as she has her E, those grasping binds available, it's so difficult for the Skarner to ever get on top of her with the E-stall impact. You can easily control the zone, disengage from that. Corki also having flex value. You can take him bot lane, you can take him mid lane if you want to. Keeps them guessing on Loud side.
Yeah, the power clear here for Blaber. Blaber definitely quite good at all types of junglers, but carry junglers especially. He loves keeping his farm super high, trying to be as efficient as possible around the map. And anytime you have a Leandri's builder, it feels nice when you see, Skarner, which is rushing a lot of max health. And Leona will be a very good target for him as well. Let's see about the bans here to come out then, because of course Corki is flexible, so Cloud9 giving away a bit less information. Looks like we are going to continue to target support here, though. Some of those Leona answers, Alistar off the board.
I feel like the first half of the draft went really fast. There wasn't a whole lot of sitting around and thinking about this. Both teams seem to have a plan coming into this one. You already mentioned the Alistar getting banned away here. I wouldn't be surprised to see more support bans coming out from Loud's side. Mel going to be the ban for C9.
Yeah, I think, looking at even just at their most recent game here, super, super good ban here. It just, Mel works so well, in comps that have a decent amount of range in other places as well. Kit really complements, the likes of Ezreal and stuff. So banning that one out again. Plus, it's just an annoying lane to deal with. All right, they're worried about some other forms of engage from Cloud9, namely because Blaber is on the Zyra and is much more counter-engaged champ, much more DPS here. So they don't want the utility of an Ashe and the other engage options to go over to Cloud9. Makes sense.
Okay, Talia, the final ban here from C9. As, their comp is currently lacking pretty much all forms of actual engage. Cassante is great at having a Cassante moment if you try to tower dive him. Zyra is great at counter-engaging like you're talking about, but where's the real go button? Where's the gasoline for Cloud9? That's what I want to see in the second half of this draft, but it is Loud's pick first. We'll see what they want to settle on here. They've already got their jungler. They've already got their bot lane duo. Solo laners need to be picked up, and Aurora is the first of those to be locked in.
Okay. Loud piling on engage. Skarner, Leona, and Aurora angles for them here. They certainly will be getting their engages onto the Zyra. We will see how much damage the Zyra gets off before it goes down, but definitely is going to be the target. The Corki, very mobile here, of course, and it looks like the Corki will be going bottom if they lock the Hwei here for the extra long range.
All right, that's exactly what they're going to do. Okay, so now we've got some wave clear. We've got some range, very standard control mage type of stuff for C9. But Kobe, I'm looking all over. I don't see it. Where's the engage?
Well, Vulcan here still yet to pick, and there you have it, Flowers.
Okay.
The Rell here to set them up. It actually is so good with Hwei, too. Hwei has that really nice AoE to complement, so Cloud9, pretty well-rounded composition for themselves. You know, Cassante, very adept at playing the side lanes. They have very, very strong team fight for themselves, also have some good range for themselves. Loud have indexed pretty heavily into dive and engage, though, so where we go, we're going to index even heavier. There we go. We do get one of the Robo champs, the Olaf, coming out here into the Cassante. If lane phase doesn't go well for an Olaf, then it becomes really hard, but their team is just so much dive that, you know, everybody's going to be playing the same direction. We'll see if Loud can get back to the Hwei and put real pressure on those carries.
Axes are good at chopping down weeds, buddy. That Zyra might be able to peel most champions away, but Olaf berserking in that Ragnarok could be a real problem if Robo can get ahead early. Specifically, if Loud are going to be the first team from the Southern Conference to take a game here at this cross-conference play, where do you want to see them focus in this early game?
I mean, I do want to see them make sure that this Olaf doesn't fall behind the gold curve of the game. Olaf definitely needs to keep up gold, keep up experience. So index into whatever we have to do to make sure that doesn't happen. You know, whether it's jungle clearing up towards that top lane or to the other side if the lane swap does come out. Invade, get those deep lane swap wards down for yourselves as well. Olaf also is quite good in level 1s, so maybe they can cook up a level 1 and try and make use of the undertow.
Oh yeah, spamming those out, the constant slows, you're pretty much guaranteed to at least get a flash and then make a return play somewhere else with your jungler as time goes forward with that powerful Skarner. About to load into game number 1. C9 with the Corki bottom too. I know that we talk about the Corki as a flex pick. I personally prefer to see it in the bottom lane. I feel like ever since the changes with the package, that's kind of his home now. Mid lane's more of his vacation home. I'll give it his normal home.
And especially when you're playing into the Aurora, you know, a lot of people like the range there, so you go with the Hwei, have some good mid lane phase there for Loki. See what they can get done. Make sure this Aurora doesn't roam around too much. Of course, post 6 side lane roams are very, very annoying from the Aurora. But here's that level 1 we're looking for. Flowers, led by the Olaf.
Blaber's just going to get as much distance as he can, and he will strut away easily from that undertow. Does not want to get caught out by Loud as they invade the top side jungle of C9.
Get those lane swap wards down. It is critical. Going for the extra deep version here for Robo, but it looks like they did spot it from Cloud9. Cloud9 ping's going down on it.
Okay, looks like we're not going to get a whole lot else, but
because they saw it, I think they could just clear it out. Vulcan's got a sweeper, and actually it's in tower range.
Oh, little bit of a misplay there. So Vulcan just taking a little vacation to that top lane real fast to clear that out. And while the minions are about to spawn, let's check in on Cloud9's real-life trip to Brazil so far. Looks like they're having a good time.
It does. It's a party.
Yeah,
it's a party, Flowers.
They're having a good one on that. As in the game itself, we do look like we're in for a lane swap, Kobe. I'm not a big fan of these, but clearly their popularity remains, and it's Loud who are going to be the ones doing the swapping. They have Root and Winsome up here in the top lane to put extra pressure on Thanatos, but Cassante, famously, one of the top laners that just deals with it really well.
Yeah, Cassante very good at it. That's why they were looking for the deep lane swap wards. I want to know where I can get one of those Vulcan shirts, though. Actually, that custom Vulcan shirt looked
cool.
Looked pretty good to me. Currently, though, as you say, is just going to be them clearing up. And Zyra here, Blaber, did start on their red quadrant, and so he's just coming up to Thanatos' side of the map currently. There is a Loud ward that is on blue buff that just expired right now, but Robo's also there. So Loud are just overloading and looking for the possible dive here, but Blaber's clearing towards that side. So if Zyra can also get there, and it's a level 2 Cassante already for Thanatos, they should be able to defend it. Meanwhile, Cloud9 bottom lane is just mining money off these turret plates. Those turret plates on the bottom line just melt away. It looks like Blaber does get chased off the Grump, and he does not have a smite charge, so...
No, Wiz, however, does.
Oh, it's coming up soon, though. Maybe he can leash it.
This. Blaber does secure it and hits level 4. Robo is still level 1 on the Olaf. Loud is committing so much trying to make this dive happen. Thanatos level 2, Blaber level 4. Loud has to find success here. They've already wasted so much time. They try to make the dive go in, but a nice path maker coming out from Thanatos. It's first blood over to Blaber, and it might get even worse. Loud's plan, everything was put in this top lane basket, and the eggs splatter all over the floor. First blood to C9.
Honestly, I'm very surprised that Loud still went for that dive after meeting Blaber and Thanatos here just fine on the Cassante. Now Robo, for a second there was a level 1 Olaf in the face of a level 3 Cassante. Plus Blaber on Zyra is turbo accelerated, not to mention the bottom lane. We're not even going to go over the bottom lane, Flowers.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
It wasn't on camera, so if you don't look at those turret plates going down, then you don't have to worry about that until you meet up with a very rich Corki later. But like pretty much everywhere is going to be accelerated for Cloud9 now. Off of that, you win every side of the map. This is some of the most disastrous first 4 minutes of a game that I've seen in a while. Pretty rough stuff here for Loud after that dive. You know, Skarner going to be significantly behind because of spending the time going for that.
Yeah.
And when you get behind a Zyra, I know you know this pain, Flowers.
I know this pain, brother, and it looks like there's even more pain in store for Robo. He drops as the minion wave is already underneath the turret, so even if he can TP back, there's still going to be multiple minions lost up here as C9 now brings Zven and Vulcan up into the top lane to continue mining for that plate money.
Oh my goodness, I guess now that you've seen them, you do have to worry about all the extra money they got. Here comes Wiz, though. Let's see. Vulcan and Zven should be able to work their way out of this as long as they don't take aggro. Yep, no problem.
Oh, and Zven hits him with the classic Papega frog as well. He is absolutely unintimidated by any of this. Robo and Wiz, normally you would expect a duo of jungler and top laner to have higher levels than the enemy duo bot. Not the case, not in this one. Loud is so far behind just 5 minutes into the game.
This is crazy, Flowers. I was looking at, it was a 2,000 gold lead at 4 minutes and 40 seconds after they just got that, you know, return kill on Robo where bot lane swap back over. I just see this pain actually getting way worse for Loud.
Yeah.
So this was the stat I was talking about at the intro, though, at the very beginning of the day. As we go for another one,
we don't have time for stats other than kills, my friend, and C9 has 3 of them. Not even 6 minutes into the game. Feat of Warfare claimed. Robo dead again. C9 another plate smashed on the ground.
I think I'm gonna have to go to Twitch chat, Flowers, and get some bets here because the stat was Cloud9 of all the teams that made it here to the America stage, they had the fastest average game time.
32 minutes or so, wasn't it?
Exactly. And Loud had the longest. So I think that Cloud9 are going to beat their average. So my ask to Twitch chat would be, how many minutes faster than their average, which was 32 minutes, are they aiming at in this game? Because just it is 2.8K the gold lead at 6.5 minutes now. Maybe we're getting way too far ahead of ourselves because at least Loud are getting a dragon, but it certainly is going to be very painful here. I mean, Zven on the Corki is going to be a big problem as well. Just everybody here for Cloud9 with an individual gold lead.
I'm not going to mince words. In a realistic game of League of Legends, it is hard to have a worse start than this, than what Loud has had in the first 7 minutes of this game. They got the Drake, yes, but that was because Blaber was also already grabbing those first 3 grubs. Tinowns now in trouble as the Spiraling Despair is connected. Severing Bolt over the top from Loki brings Tinowns down to 300 HP. It forces the enemy mid laner back, allows the wave to crash, and gives Loki the timer he wants.
Yeah, one reason why we're kind of freaking out also is because Cloud9 with this comp, they have so much range and poke that when, you know, they get so far ahead really early on and, you know, things like the Olaf and stuff that really rely on those stats to be able to charge in and fully commit to an engage, it seems like it's going to be very difficult for them later on to play their, you know, dive style here with
the Olaf, Skarner, Leona trying to go right into the team. Maybe, you know, they can obviously still pull out some surprise plays there, especially looking at Tinowns on the Aurora. Aurora with ultimate and flash can definitely create some magic. Maybe if they get like a support roam to mid to help him push out and then buy him some time, can make a play and try and collect some of the Cloud9 gold.
It is a tough spot for Loud any way you look at it. At least the ultis online might give them the opportunity to make some sort of a play. Robo 0-2 and 0 down on the Olaf, like you already mentioned. He's going to run into the Zyra. Sure, he won't get CC'd, but I'm pretty sure those ulti-empowered plants will just kill him.
Yeah, the jungler has a 2-level lead over the top laner, so yeah, that will be painful. 3 grubs though for Cloud9, so very clearly I think they should keep their top lane up here. You know, you want to get that 6-pack of grubs if you want to push your game time flowers.
Oh yeah.
Or push your game time lower so they can end quicker, destroy these towers. So it looks like they're keeping up plenty of vision well before the spawn of second grubs, and Blaber coming in here to try and be as annoying as possible. You know, Zyra with the extremely quick clear and the faded ashes already, so comes in, tries to push the Skarner off, keep that Skarner farm extremely low, should be no problem. And I just don't see any way that Loud can or should even try and go sniff around the second grub pack. They should just, you know, keep the cross map play, try and, you know, play off the other side and see if they can get something while Cloud9 commit resources to the second pack of grubs.
I mean, man, 52 to 85 in farm in the jungle. The front line for Loud is just in no condition to even play the game.
Well, right now with Leona and Skarner escorting Tinowns, it looks like they are doing some setup for the second grub pack, so maybe they will fight it. Despite getting behind early on, maybe they feel like they'll be in position. They have their vision covered so far, and Winsome kind of camping up here. He would need to leech a bit more to get his level 6 if they want to fight it, though. Leona really, really desperately needs that experience for level 6. There we go.
There he goes, but he walks into a little bit of damage from Loki at the same time. Luckily, the Eclipse is going to protect him from a large portion of that. But C9, once again, controlling the topside river.
So, Flowers, if both Thanatos and Robo teleport in, you get a level 9 Cassante teleporting in and a level 7 Olaf.
I want the first one.
Yeah, pretty big discrepancy there. And currently, Thanatos has the Olaf pushed under tower. So let's take a look at this. Loud might try and fight. It looks like they're positioning for it.
All right, Blaber has already started up the set of grubs. Wiz wants to try to tunnel in here and make a play. He goes for the ultimate there onto Loki. Nice follow-up with the Eclipse. Massive engage coming out from Loud that killed Loki and Blaber both. That's exactly what the Brazilian squad needed, and they're gonna take the last 2 grubs with them.
Zven was still pushing top lane, Flowers. That was a beautiful engage from Wiz. He cruises right past Vulcan. He nails Loki right there, groups them up. They get the Ezreal ult over the top, and Loud with a comeback play there. Even though Cloud9 still get 4, Loud getting some money and getting some kills, plus 2 of those grubs is definitely way better than the direction that the game had been heading.
Yes, that is the biggest play in this game by miles for Loud. They needed that. Let's take another look at how it happens with Wiz going in first.
So Riz, he cruises right past here. Vulcan tries a Q, but it's definitely too late there. Skarner gets Loki in with the ultimate, and then that Aurora from the top side nails him right there in the river. And as you could see, you know, Zven was pushing in the top wave, so Cloud9 did not have their other big carry there, and Loud fans are popping off.
They are living up to their name, my friend. They are excited to see their team not down and out of this one here just yet. They've still got a lot of ways to go. There's a lot of game left that they've still got to try to claw their way back into, but that does show that there are angles they can find to do it. C9 now looking maybe for something onto Robo, but they won't get a whole lot. It's still Olaf. He can just pop the ulti and run.
Yeah, honestly, I would say for Loud, if you continue to look for these plays onto Loki, because they burned his flash in that play plus getting the kill. Flashless Hwei is going to be one of those dream targets for them. Currently, though, with Cloud9 investing all their resources down to the other side to make sure they get that dragon, you're going to have to wait that play out, and you're going to have to go through a lot of vision. You see all these wards here, shallow wards up through Loud's jungle that Cloud9 are going to leave behind after they take the dragon.
Dragon secured, so that's going to be a 1-to-1 count for those neutral objectives. Which soul are we getting here? Infernal Soul on this map, so a lot of extra damage for whoever keeps farming those up. Tinowns versus Thanatos up here in the top side. Thanatos with the Iceborne Gauntlet already completed. Obviously, going to have the edge over that Olaf, so they're just sending the Aurora to deal with him instead. As down in the bottom lane, Loki, once again, in the sights of Loud, like you were talking about. It's an immobile control mage without a flash. Normally, that paints a big target on his head. But Loki's doing a good job trying to stay safe. Has Roots in some danger. Zven going in, looking for the solo kill and gets it, no problem. Now Wiz wants revenge, but Zven flashes right back away. And Blaber is ready to punish the Skarner oh so easily. C9 get 2 more for free.
Zven putting that money to good work right there on the Corki. Meanwhile, we're still going.
Yeah, down to the bottom lane, Loki with no summoner spells, no way out, and Robo gets a much needed influx of gold.
Yeah, get that dub for Loud. Continue to try and prey on the flashless Hwei, because everything else on the map, Cloud9 are just blowing up here. Zven able to finish off the turret after they get those 2 kills in mid lane. Blaber also investing his flash to go for it, but I mean, he's kept up his 2-level lead on Zyra. Nice stuff here for him. His fully completed Leandries is going to be so painful for the majority of these Loud characters to deal with.
And there is a big story of this early game right there. Plus 1,000 gold for C9 just in plates alone. A grand total of 12 taken by their squad to only the 3 secured by Loud.
Yep, definitely a big source of all that gold lead that you see up on the scoreboard here. Of course, the other kind of benefit for Cloud9 of Blaber being so far ahead is even if Loki is targeted over and over on the Hwei and kept down, like, Blaber is going to be more than enough magic damage for them in the team fights as well. And it's not like Loki hasn't been able to have any income, just gets targeted a little bit more. He's off to the side lane again though here, and his flash will be up soon as Thanatos finishes off that tower as well. 2 now here down.
Easy stuff. Let's see if C9 can take control over the top side river. Loud possess it for now. Wiz and Winsome waiting together here in this control warded brush. Seeing if C9 just gets a little bit too cocky, a little bit too careless, like they did the last time they fought over an objective in this top side river. The Herald spawning in about 30 seconds, a little bit more. C9 now bringing more men into the area means they'll be more confident to push up, and Loud will have to respect it.
They certainly will. This time around too, it's interesting because the teleports are desynced for Thanatos and Robo, and after Robo getting that kill onto Loki, you know, catching back up pretty decently for himself, chops down that gold deficit a little bit, and him being able to have the earlier teleport, Loud may look to try and pull some numbers advantage play on the other side of the map, because currently Thanatos pushing that extra bottom wave, but there's no real like deep wards for Loud to work with. Cloud9 have done a pretty good job of clearing all that out, so maybe no surprise Olaf positioning. And Thanatos actually going to walk his way up because of the teleport discrepancy here, so Cassante going to take the long walk up the river to make sure something like that second grove fight does not happen again.
Well, my friend, we are halfway to your earlier stated stat of Cloud9's average game time. 32 minutes. We got 16 minutes on the clock right now, and C9 are starting up the Herald. This is a great accelerant if you're looking to knock down that Nexus a little bit faster. Oftentimes, this will result in at least a single turret being taken, but usually if you've got a lead about 5,000, you'll get way more than that.
Yeah, definitely can use, especially if you can use it to get down the secondary turrets on the side lanes. Big rewards there. Since mid lane is already down and open there for them, they can invest the Rift Herald into a side lane and get a lot of gold out of it. Loud though, they make the correct call, cross map play. Robo just get the bottom side turret, so Robo getting some much more needed gold. Meanwhile, Engage onto Hwei here.
Nicely done from Tinowns. Wants to go after Loki, but the disengage from C9's mid laner with a flash to escape the between worlds. I like the aggro. I like the bloodthirst from Tinowns.
Yeah, good move from Tinowns. And you can tell Loki is sweating here, Flowers. Loki no ult or flash now. So again, he will be the main target, the most vulnerable member of Cloud9. Everybody else on Cloud9, though, still quite powerful. And as the dragon is spawning, they're moving in to try and get their setup first. They pushed mid, they pushed bottom, so very good setup work for them. Minions going down these lanes will allow river control first. And we'll see, with Vulcan and Thanatos both positioning on brush here, it's very scary for Loud to move in.
Oh yeah.
So Blaber should be able to pull out the dragon and set this one up. Loki does have teleports, even though he doesn't have flash now and is way more vulnerable. At least he still does have that teleport cooldown, so would be able to answer, and it is just going to be given over Cloud9 with the extra dragon.
So it felt like Cloud9 was going really fast in the early game, just knocking them over, building up these huge gold leads, and then we've kind of been on cruise control for a little bit now. How does Cloud9 further accelerate this to really bring down that 32-minute average game?
Yeah, I think the only speed bump for them has been the target on the back of Loki, because they have checked the other boxes of keeping the foot on the gas pedal. I would say, you know, you mentioned the Rift Herald. They also go collect the dragon immediately there, and they did their safety work, push both lanes first, ward up both of these brush by dragon first, you know, plant Cassante and Rell to make sure nobody else can get in there. So I think they are, you know, continuing to keep up the quick pace for themselves. And next step, presumably, would be use the Rift Herald on top side. You could get 2 towers, as we were kind of mentioning there before. If you just pop that outer tower immediately, and then try and get a Rift Herald drive into the secondary tower. Can be a lot of rewards there. They do have to be a little bit careful here, though. And it looks like, yeah, Loki take another little chunk of damage here from Tinowns.
But Loki's got a lot of dudes behind him this time. This is the Loki bait. They're just throwing him out there saying, oh, look, it's the guy you kill all the time. Don't you want to kill him again? And as soon as Loud goes in to kill him, C9's going to be ready for the counter punch. Loud knows better, though. They're not going to overcommit to just the Loki. Instead, they'll just hang around. Robo trying to steal away a little bit of resources here in the bottom lane. Robo at least caught up pretty well, considering how disastrous the early game was for him. Only 100 gold behind the Cassante now.
Yeah, and you know, getting his kill onto the Hwei, definitely helping out there. As well, you know, Ezreal at least got the transform for Muramana. He may be a full item behind Zven, so still like definitely not caught up, but at least he's got his transform on his Muramana there. You know, trying to rush to those 2 item breakpoints at least for Ezreal, bypassing the boots a little bit there. See what he can get done, because Root is really the big, you know, best mechanics on the team, really looking for him to do a lot of work for Loud. We'll see what they can do. Of course, Zven has been very aggressive with his giant gold lead on the Corki, as he should be, and he's got the rapid fire cannon as his extra item over Root in the matchup, so that's going to provide a lot more poke, a lot of extra safety there. In this Cloud9 group, Rift Herald on top side where Otacon already is, so they got to at very least get the outer tower first. I would say ideally we'd get a drive into the second tower here, but you don't want to fully compromise positioning and have to worry about this Loud team fully engaging and getting a flank. We'll see if they can safely get the second charge off or not. Loud are here contesting a bit.
Wiz did use the smite on the large Krug, so that's not going to be available to stop the Herald, but it's not like it's needed. C9, like you're talking about, they don't want to overcommit to shoving this thing into the tier 2. Instead, that'll get killed off before it ever makes that second contact. True shot barrage from Root to check the voracious Otacon. Just make sure C9 aren't starting it up. We've seen plenty of disasters of teams starting this thing up too early, too confidently, only to have the other team show up and ace them, and it doesn't appear that Cloud9's interested in falling into that trap, as they're going to draw Otacon into the turret. Okay.
Yeah, this one leashes pretty far because of the channel spell, and looks like even Otacon has decided, all right, Loki is the member on Cloud9. I want to attack as well. This Hwei that very shortly should have his flash up if the indicator is correct, and have that extra little bit of safety. But Cloud9 currently with Dragon number 3, only 1 minute away, investing some resources to the other side of the map.
All right, C9 making a play on Robo down here in the bot lane, but immediately he pops the Ragnarok and walks it off. It is an ult for ult trade, though, as Vulcan used the Magnet Storm to guarantee the force of the Ragnarok. Now the follow-up from C9. Thanatos forces Robo away, and Zven collects all the damage of the tier 2 turret.
And the Olaf ultimate is a 73-second cooldown currently, as Zven has to flash. Nice little punishment.
Yeah, I like that from Loud. They go for the Solar Flare afterwards, but they aren't going to find Zven. Sidestepping away from that Zenith Blade right afterwards. Cloud9's bringing the whole party. Loud's got to get out of here. Vulcan goes for the engage. They throw down the Zyra ult, but it only hits Winsome. He's got to be a little bit careful now. Vulcan might just die to the Ignite. Meanwhile, Thanatos going all out into the backline, and Root's going to be killed off next. Zven goes on a rampage, and Robo has to run all the way away. C9 gets a 2-for-1 and control over the Drake pit.
Yep, that's going to be Dragon number 3 for Cloud9 after the chase. The rotation over from the rest of the team made possible by Zven dodging both Leona engage spells there. The ultimate and the E. Nice little just sidesteps backwards for him. Here's another look at it though. They were so deep because of taking the secondary tower. And then Thanatos teleporting out, but then returning with the rest of the team, as you can see on the minimap roaming down now. So Zven, he flashes away from Skarner ult, dodges both attempts of engage from the Leona, and that allows the turn from Cloud9. Once they're all here, they know they're going to be able to chase through with their monetary advantage. Still getting the 1 counter kill there for Loud in taking down Vulcan. Having the Ignite on him is something for them, but yeah, still smiles for Cloud9. They know at the early game advantage, as long as they're able to, you know, make the rotation over after chasing so far, they will be able to get that Dragon number 3 and their gold lead up here at over 6,000.
Massive.
As we get to the Otacon fight.
Okay, the Otacon starting up. True Shot Barrage did not hit anybody on C9, only the Otacon itself, which is not really being focused down that hard just yet. Now, finally, C9 brings everybody up here. Blaber on the Zyra does a ton of damage to this thing, but they got to make sure they don't allow Wiz to come in and steal it away. Grabbing the false lives and then taking a team fight from that could be an opportunity for Loud to come back into the game a little bit, but Zven and Vulcan going to chase Robo back down into the mid lane here. Otacon itself going to reset on the aggro. Loud are going to take the opportunity to secure the tier 1 top lane turret for themselves. As Robo takes a blast cone, gets all the way away back down to the bottom lane, and he's just going to move on over and keep pushing the wave.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to put pressure on the tower while the rest of the team is up here standing in front of Otacon. 5K on the health.
Okay, Thanatos still frontlining, trying to keep everybody else from Loud away from the Otacon. Down to about 3,500 now, and TP's about to show up here from Robo as Otacon resets. C9 looking to draw battle lines here, but they got to be careful. Between Worlds already dropped. Winsome's about to die. He's all alone in the back line of C9. It ain't going to matter. Robo, he wants Zven, but he's not going to get what he wants today. A double kill back over to the Corki as Root, Tinowns, and Wiz are left to run. Root separated from the other 2 members of his team as he tries to kite and fight his way out of it. But C9 haven't lost a single player, and they're back on the objective.
Yeah, it looked like Thanatos wanted some more kills, but the rest of the team says, you know what, we've got Otacon, let's just take the Otacon, finish that objective off, and then go for Baron afterwards. No need to over chase. Cloud9 and 26 minutes here are going to get both of the mega buffs, Flowers. This is just such a huge pushing power with the range that they have with their composition, the extra stats from Baron, and the revive mechanic from Otacon. The next Cloud9 siege should be devastating for the Loud base. Here's another look at the start of it, and Cloud9 are actually taking a lot, of the Otacon debuff at the moment. But it's because they're so confident with the lead that they have. Then when they see the teleport come in from Robo, and the engage actually comes out from Tinowns on the left side, it was just Winsome on the right side. So Cloud9 turned on Winsome, got the early health lead, and Robo tried to chase through to kind of like salvage the play there with a little extra pressure on Zven. But at that point, it's just too late. You know, they already kind of desynced a little bit too much on their engage.
I mean, you're talking about this next C9 push should be devastating. I feel like it should be game-ending with all these buffs combined. Winsome's Solar Eclipse, not going to find a lot. Root's True Shot Barrage doing the same. C9.
Side lanes.
They are not threatened whatsoever. Their side lanes are already pushing in with the pincer attack. as Thanatos will break into the enemy base uncontested. Loki's going to take the tier 2 top the same way, and now the 3-man squad in the mid lane that completely avoided any threat of danger from the Loud engage attempt is just going to continue pushing forward themselves.
Here it comes, the C9 onslaught with the double mega buffs. Already, Kasande opened up bottom side, and now top side is the next target. This thing melts as well. Top side tower down.
Top side tier 3 is gone. The inhibitor itself about to be rubble as Loud scramble to try to protect their base. C9 still has the false lives here for a little bit longer, and they're going to use every second to keep this push going strong. Nexus turret's under fire. First one's already about to die. It's gone. Second Nexus turret is all that stands between C9 and a fast game 1 win as the mid lane inhibitor falls and Loud scramble to try to defend. Thanatos will be the first one ready to jump in on the Kasante as Winsome goes to the back line of C9. Big between worlds, but it's not big enough. Loud is simply too far behind. Robo into the back, at least gets one. He takes out Zven. Maybe he's got a second. Spiraling Despair's about to pop off, and a Skarner ulti grabs another. By a miracle, Loud are holding on still, but Loki and Blaber remain ready to fight. Wiz barely gets back onto the steps of the fountain, but the Nexus itself is soaking damage. The minions will win it if nothing else, and C9, 28.5 minutes in, takes game 1.
Cloud9 with such a big early lead. That tower dive from Loud after seeing Blaber over there and still going for it, they just could not recover from that because they committed all their resources to the top side of the map, and Zven and Vulcan all annihilated like 70% of a tower during that play.
It felt like the game was over at 2.5 minutes in this one, man. Reminder, fans, don't miss any LTA action when you get your favorite foods delivered on Uber Eats for less gold. Scan the QR on screen, click the link in chat or the Uber Eats button on LOLesports.com to access the Champion Shop exclusively on Uber Eats. Now we're going to head on over to LTA Lounge to break it all down.
Thanks, Flowers. As you two mentioned, that lane swap was a disaster. But I just wanted to break it down because I don't think we've ever seen a lane swap go so badly for a team as it did for Loud, or so well for a team as it did for Cloud9.
Very good for Cloud9.
Okay, why did it go so bad? I propose Loud did not want to swap. So I feel like going into the game, they invested so much into Robo getting this ward because that can then see which lane the enemy deploys. However, he placed it within range of the turret. So Vulcan can just walk up without having to sweep and clear it. And now I'm going to switch to the vision of Loud. After Vulcan clears this ward at 109, they have to guess. They just have to guess. Their vision didn't catch anyone else who's going to go where. They guess that Vulcan and Zven are going to go top, so they send Root and Winsome top. Now, back to full vision. What are the keys in the lane swap? For a top laner, you want to leech as much experience as possible. You really want to get the experience from these 3 melee minions. Robo could potentially do the same thing. That would be goal 1. How does this play out? Robo decides to leave. He's not willing to play that game because he's too worried about the dive. Thanatos, though, actually gets the experience for those two and that third minion. He gets every single one. So already small advantage to Cloud9 in this part of the swap. What's next? If you're going to abandon your lane as the top laner, you want to leech experience from mid lane, oftentimes until level 2. Robo doesn't do that. He gets just level 1, is on vision, and then walks up. So they're deciding that they're going to dive. Next thing that you'd want to do, if you're going to dive, you want to be able to deny the enemy jungler some experience. Blaber has cleared 3 camps down here and gets all 3 camps on the top side. So let's actually just recap how bad this has gone to this point. They've given away 2 plates, soon to be 3 on the bot lane. Top lane hasn't gotten experience. Enemy top lane has, and enemy jungler is level 4. So at this point, you probably want to abandon ship. You know there's 2 people here. You probably wouldn't have wanted to pass your jungler over, cover bot side, teleport Robo in, at least catch something. But they double down. They go for more. It's a disaster. As Wiz ease in, it's very easy for Thanatos to buffer the CC. He gets a double stun, they get a kill, and it gets worse. Now, unfortunately, this wasn't the end of it.
It's not over?
It's not over. We're going to go to the vision again from Robo. He's hoping to catch a little bit of experience at the turret. However, as the wave crashes, Vulcan shows. Robo doesn't have time to react. He dies again. It's a 2,000 gold lead by 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Raz.
I've counted 7 mistakes.
Okay.
In about 4 minutes.
Unfortunately, everything went wrong.
Was this the worst dive or like the worst level 1 or lane swap?
I think it's the worst lane stop start of the game we've seen in recent memory in the last several years. And that's why Cloud9 won. So in terms of game 2, if that doesn't happen, Loud actually won a fight or 2 after that.
Yes.
So maybe we'll see a series, but it did not look good. That is all the time we have for this, unfortunately, though. So we're going to be heading to a break. Before game 2, let's hear from our LTA pros in another episode of Love It or Hate It.
I hate it. I love it.
I think love it.
I hate it. Tima, I hate Tima. No need for an explanation.
I can't alt attack when he Qs me, so hate it.
Love it. I mean, I used to hate it, and then I was losing to Taiji, who's a notorious NA one-trick Teemo, and then I started playing Teemo, and now I'm like part of the problem, so it's like, you know, love it.
I just wish he was played more. I don't really love him or hate him. Like maybe I can love him or hate him if I saw him a little bit more in my game. I love solo queue when it's played as a team game and people try to play with their teammates.
Love and hate. There's no other answer to this question.
I mean, I'm tempted to say hate it, but I feel like if solo queue just like disappeared, I'd be sad. So I think I'm going with love it.
I absolutely hate solo queue right now. I am challenger getting in Diamond 3 games. I don't know how to get in higher elo games. If I play against a Diamond 3 player, sure, I can exploit them. But if I have a Diamond 3 jungler and their jungler is challenger, the game is lost.
I love ADC. People think it's weak right now, but I don't think it's that weak. It's just such an enjoyable role to kind of be baby-fed in the beginning of the game and then become the carry later on.
Love-hate relationship. Sometimes you're the GOAT, sometimes you want to pull your hair out, you know.
And competitive, fucking snoozer. I think that there's a lot of champions and drafts that like make it fun, like Aurora, maybe Galio, Talia even, stuff like that's like kind of fun, but honestly, if the enemy team drafts in a certain way, sometimes you're kind of just stuck on control mages. Love it. No, I think top lane is like it's a good fit for me, so I enjoy playing it. Although I think like things like lane swap, it's like I'm forced to interact with like too many random people too early, where it's like it really should just be like an honorable duel in the top lane.
I love playing Ambessa, but I hate playing against it because the champ just has too many dashes, too much damage, and a slow and a shield and everything.
Love it. She's not like the strongest laner, but it's like it's so satisfying to play her because sometimes you just finish like 2 items, 3 items, and then you just one-shot the entire enemy team. I imagine the AD carries are saying hate it to this one.
Hate it. Season 15 champ. So broken.
Most of the time I hate it. Like, it's just so weak, and then it just starts one-shotting everything in the game.
I mean, I love trash talk, as in I love listening to it, and I love other players trash talking, but I don't do it myself.
I think trash talk is very good. I love it.
Both love it and hate it. I think it depends how it's done. When I was in EU, I like to banter. You know, before the game, you talk a bit of trash and like you hype the game up. But this like new 2024-25 meta where people are like, don't say anything before the game, then they win and talk like on Twitter afterwards. It's so cringe.
Hate it. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like because I'm Canadian and I was like raised that way, but like I just don't like it that much. I don't know.
Why are we in Indiana? The retreat to Nashville, Tennessee.
I could put Nashville, Indiana in the GPS.
Mr. Shotgun over here.
Bro.
Okay. Let me just figure this out. Oh, we're cool. There's a charging station nearby.
Who puts a Nashville in Indiana anyway?
Yeah. Plans change, but the Kia EV9 is great for road trips and so much more.
Red Bull gives you wings.